Alicent is a character that many of us love to hate. She's hypocritical, she's judgmental, and she can be really annoying. Obviously, I'm not a fan, but over the last few days, I've heard some really heavy accusations lobbied at her about her being a lousy mother, and I think they're really unfair. And so I find myself very begrudgingly having to make a video to defend her, which is really tough for me because I am very team black.
And I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all. I'm blickety black, blacker than black.
Alicent gets criticized because there's a lot of distance between her and her children. It's very cold, very cool, very icy. But I think her treatment of her children makes perfect sense given the circumstances of her marriage to their father. Alicent was 14 years old when she was married off to a man old enough to be her father. And not just any man, her best friend's father, who was also a king and who also had some kind of flesh-eating bacteria situation going on.
Brother,
It was a very lonely, gross existence for her. This marriage cost her her best friend. There wasn't a lot of pleasure or passion in it. It was definitely one of duty and obligation. But despite the personal cost to her, she did it because her father told her to. And it's really unfair that it's not enough for a woman to do exactly as she's told, no matter how much it costs her. There's an expectation that she makes all of these sacrifices perfectly, with a smile on her face. How is it that we expect a child bride and a teenage mom to be mother of the year? How does that even make sense? You want her to be the best mom? Wait until she's an adult to marry her off. You want her to be this loving, doting, passionate wife? Maybe don't marry her off to a diseased man twice her age. Alicent's plight is very clear, especially when you compare her to Rhaenyra, someone who spent almost her entire life doing whatever the hell she wanted to do, consequences be damned. And we know their backstory. They were best friends who grew up together. Rhaenyra's mom dies in childbirth. Otto makes Alicent seduce the king. Viserys marries her, and this pisses off Rhaenyra because she was named his heir. But now any of his sons by Alicent will have a better claim to the throne. So she's really pissed. In order to make amends with her, Viserys arranges basically the biggest version of The Bachelorette ever, where every eligible bachelor in all of Westeros can shoot their shot. Now, we know from American Idol or any of the Got Talent series that even though you say you're looking for very talented people, lots of people with no talent or self-awareness will audition anyway.
When Israel was in Egypt's land, let my people go.
And Rhaenyra's quarters were no different. Look, let's face it, Rhaenyra is that girl. She's not only a princess, she's heir to the throne. She's young, she's beautiful, a dragon rider. She's wealthy, intelligent, charismatic. She's that girl. And only someone of similar caliber is ever going to impress her. But for the first couple of days, she was meeting a bunch of duds. Men old enough to be her grandfather, and not hot old, like Jeff Goldblum, just weird old, like Gollum. And literal children were trying to shoot their shot. So she's very unimpressed. However, all she had to do was sift through the chaff to get to the wheat, graciously eliminate the men who don't measure up, and get to the men who do. But she's so spoiled and so petulant that she just up and left. This was extremely disrespectful and mind-bogglingly stupid. Because, in setting this up, Viserys gave his daughter more choice and more autonomy than even most kings get. And getting to choose her own spouse, she had more power over her life than some of the characters that we know and love. Or love to hate, like Catelyn and Ned Stark, Robert Baratheon, Lysa Tully, Prince Rhaegar Targaryen, Cersei Lannister. These are all great lords and ladies. Rhaegar was a prince, and their spouses were chosen for them. She had a shot at a happy marriage, and she threw it all away. Now compare that to Alicent, who was also a young, beautiful, highborn lady. While she wasn't royalty, she was still quite a catch. She's well-connected, daughter of the king's hand, member of a powerful and influential family. And instead of finding her a man that she could actually be attracted to and happy with, her father orders her to essentially make her move on the king. Alicent didn't want to do this. It's gross. He's old. She's known him since she was a kid. He's her best friend's dad, but she did as she was told, even though it stressed her out to the point that she was self-harming. There's a scene where her and Rhaenyra seem to reconcile, and Rhaenyra is lamenting that she doesn't want to end up married and being confined to a castle and forced to pop out a bunch of heirs. And we see Alicent's face fall, and we see how struck she was by those words, because that's exactly what her life has become, trapped in a life she doesn't want to live. So how do you expect her to be this loving, joyful, cheerful, doting mother to her kids when she's so desperately unhappy? Where is she supposed to find the wherewithal to pour into her kids when she's barely hanging on herself? It's just not a reasonable expectation. Fast forward several years, and all her kids are grown, and they're all a mess. Aegon is a total douche. He's a rapist. He's an abuser of children and a neglectful husband to his sister. And Aemond is a cold, calculating, and grudge-holding weirdo with serious mommy issues. And poor Helena just seems to constantly dissociate to cope with her shitty family. They're all really screwed up. We see in the brothel scene how deep Aemond's mommy issues go, with him being curled up in the fetal position, drinking a glass of milk. Like, no! And Aegon is desperate for his mother's affection and approval, even though she seriously dislikes him because he's a terrible person. After the scene where Aemond humiliates Aegon at the small council meeting, Aegon goes to Alicent and tries to get some comfort, and she has none to give him. She's like, listen, son, you're an idiot, and no one likes you. We certainly don't believe in you, and we damn sure don't respect you. We struggled and sacrificed and did unspeakable things to put you on the throne, not because you deserved it, but because you're the firstborn son. And since you've spent your whole life whoring and gambling and screwing around, you know nothing about being a king or a leader, so shut up. Stop trying to flex on people and just listen and learn. Now, I agreed with everything she said. I mean, yes, it was harsh, but he was being really stupid and he did need a reality check. But that was the worst thing she could have said in that moment, when what he desperately needed was his mother's comfort and encouragement. Personally, fuck all that. And fuck him, he's trash. But that was what he needed to hear. And so he gets really upset and drunk, flies off into battle, and he almost gets himself unalived and survives but is really badly injured. Now his mom is guilt-stricken and horrified and sits at his bedside. And when she gets up to leave, he whimpers after her mummy. And I read so many comments from people who were like, oh no, poor Aegon. Oh, he's just a hurt little wounded puppy who's crying out for his mommy. Boo-hoo. Alicent is so cold. She's so unforgiving. And like I said earlier, man, fuck all that. Aegon is terrible. Oh no, he wants his mommy's comfort? Like the comfort he gave to Diana, the serving girl he graped? Or how he comforted those children that he would have fight to the ultimate end. Their teeth were literally filed down to sharp points so they could have a better grip when they bite people. Or how he comforted his wife after the unaliving of their son. That kind of comfort? Fuck him. It's pretty screwed up that Aegon, despite being morally reprehensible, is getting so much sympathy. And Alicent, who spent her whole life being the good, obedient, self-sacrificing wife and daughter, is getting criticized. And it really just goes to highlight the unfair burdens and expectations we put on women. We expect them to give up everything, their happiness, their hopes and dreams, their wishes, their plans for the future, their desires for their own lives. And even after women give it all up, it's still not enough. We still get criticized for not doing it nicely enough, for not being happy enough, for not giving up everything that makes us who we are perfectly enough. Meanwhile, men have the freedom to be as mediocre and violative and dangerous as they want, but they so much as stub their toe and everybody flocks and fawns over them and offers them so much empathy and so much grace. It's really messed up. The criticisms levied at Alicent are the reason why so many women are opting out of families and being increasingly single and child-free. There's no respect or appreciation for the immense sacrifices that women make. Just more demands, more expectations. There's no reward, no empathy, no comfort, no pity, and damn sure no gratitude. This is further demonstrated in the scene where she confronts her father for the first time about him essentially forcing her to marry Viserys and how hard that was for her. And his response was basically like, okay, you seem kind of hostile about this for some weird reason. I did you a favor. I made you an excellent match. He's a king, he's a good guy. Most daughters would be grateful. And it never even occurred to him that his 14-year-old daughter didn't want that. She's not a Marjorie Tyrell person. Someone who was so desperate to be a queen that she'd marry anybody. A guy she knows is gay, a guy she knows is a monster, or a literal little boy. And so, yes, even though I am proudly and defiantly Team Black, go see smoke, in this, I feel for Alicent. I really do feel terrible for this girl. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and even feel free to share it. Thanks again and have a great day. Bye-bye.